This is totally useless information with Nick and Roy. Listen, laugh, and learn.
And today we'll check out the wild world of animals.
We'll explain what you dreamt about last night.
Information about fashion.
News, history, and of course the mailbag.
Totally useless information. It's everything you never needed to know.
More people get totally useless information from our show than anywhere else in the world.
Animals, 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 crazy animals.
We're not calling you animals for listening to us, but thank you for listening.
Yes, we are. We pretty much called them animals, Nick.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, you're animals of totally useless information, you bunch of animals. Elephants have cool ears. They have big ears, as we know. One of the cool many things that an elephant's ears can do is cool them down. Blood flow into the ears carrying heat out of the body, and cooler blood re-enters the bloodstream, reducing the effects of heat. And of course, by flapping their ears, elephants can reduce their body temperature by as much as 10 degrees Fahrenheit.
Wow. I heard that.
Yeah. And you know how wrinkly their skin is? You know, just like our skins are wrinkly. I think it's a good thing because the wrinkly skin can also keep the animal cool by trapping and retaining moisture longer than smooth skin. So having wrinkled skin is okay. So I don't mind my wrinkles. Do you mind your wrinkles?
No, Botox took care of that. My wife said to me, "You should get Botox in between your eyes, the crow's feet or whatever the hell they call that. I don't know what the hell." So she goes, the H or something. It's called. I don't know. So she says you should get Botox, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me! I'm gonna have somebody sticking them in my eyes, and I don't want it.
Yeah.
You know how tree hugging hippies always talk about how extinction, the planet's gonna be extinct, the animals are extinct. Well, stick this in your trunk and smoke it. Every year, 15 to 20,000 new species are discovered. At this rate, we'll run out of food, we'll run out of space, all because of these damn tree-hugging hippies.
It's funny how you mentioned the word trunk, and we were talking about elephants in the previous segment.
Either that or J-Lo.
I love Jell-O. Oh, J-Lo. Armadillos always give birth to 4 identical quadruplets. They are produced from a single egg which splits in 4, meaning the babies will be the same gender. Armadillos are able to delay implantation of the fertilized egg at times of stress. It can hold on to the fertilized egg for up to 2 years. But then when it does give birth, it gives birth to quadruplets.
That is cool. See, folks, you learn stuff here. This is great. Snakes are one of the few animals that eat dead, decomposing animals. Most animals see something dead and they shy away from it because they're afraid of getting sick. But not snakes. While digesting the bloated dead animal, that the animal that they ate releases methane and hydrogen gas in the stomach of the snake. The snake will occasionally get ready, burp fire. Now, I was thinking about this. That's probably where the expression fire-breathing dragons came from and so on and so forth. But the snakes can actually burp flames out of their mouth because of the methane and hydrogen gas being released. Me, I released that gas from a different area, and I look like a rocket ship.
You know what happens when someone's afraid of snakes, right? They're reptile dysfunctional.
They have reptile dysfunction.
They suffer from reptile dysfunction. There you go. I was at the local park the other day. It was really nice up here in Toronto, which is where I am, and Roy's down in Naples, Florida, actually in Fort Myers. And I recently noticed that some of the ducks had their head tucked under their wings. One eye was closed and one eye was opened. So you know what they were doing? They were sleeping. Ducks' brains.
Oh, I thought they were getting stoned.
No,
But go ahead.
no. What's that called? The hot boxing or something?
Mm-hmm.
Listen to me being all lingo. Sure. Ducks' brains are.
Nick's got street cred.
Oh yeah, I wear my jeans halfway down my hips. You know that.
Mm-hmm.
And I listen to the rapping cellist, Yo-Yo Mama. Ducks' brains are split in half, with one half controlling one eye and the other half of the brain controlling the other eye. So it's entirely possible for them to turn off half their brain to rest, while the other half remains alert for predators. Kind of like what we do here on the show, except we're always thinking with half a brain. Ducks only fully rest both halves if they're in a large group where others can be on the lookout. So if they're in a group, they just completely shut both eyes. But if they're alone, one eye is open. That's how they sleep.
Wow, it's cool. From time to time, we say cute things on this show that just can't help but be noticed. When polar bears meet each other, they touch noses. Now, isn't that cute?
Yeah.
Okay. They also sniff each other's rear ends and then touch noses. Now, that's not so cute anymore, okay? So, scratch it. Not your behind.
So do they have like polar bear dating sites where they instead of swiping left or swiping right, they touch their noses? Who knows?
Who knows?
Oh yeah? You think your nose don't stink? Giraffes are not able to cough. Giraffes cannot cough because their neck is too long. So when they go to the doctor, for a physical, and the vet asks them to turn their neck and cough, they can't. So because the giraffe's lungs are far away from their epiglottis. Coughing is a result of the combination movement of lungs and epiglottis. Because they're far apart, giraffes cannot cough.
Cool. Alpacas. Have you ever seen an alpaca? It's kind of like a llama, a real hairy llama. Well, alpacas, they're nasty animals, and they get ticked off very easily. So they're known to show their anger by spitting at people that piss them off. Yeah. They spit at them. They're like, I curse your shoes, you batard.
Oh, right in my eye.
Now, that's an alpaca. But if I had a pet llama, I would name her Dolly. The Dolly Llama.
Well, hello, Dolly. You're listening to Totally Useless Information with Nick and Roy, welcoming listeners from all over the world, including Oakville, Los Angeles, California, Blackpool, United Kingdom, and Houston, Texas. Welcome and thanks for listening. And now it's time for Totally Useless Information with Nick and Roy as they present Dreams. Wake up. Wake up. Dreams.
What was that?
Since you're awake, you might as well go first.
Oh, okay. Scientists have studied bad dreams, or nightmares as they're known, and they seem to begin at between the ages of 3 to 6 years old and decrease markedly by the age of 10. They're not sure why.
Have you ever dreamt of a waffle or eating a waffle? Well, if you have, it indicates that you need to come down from your lofty ideals and approach life from a more pragmatic perspective. The dream may also be a metaphor that you're waffling or undecided over some matter. I think that's what it says. Yeah, I think so. To dream that you're waffling over a topic suggests that you need to think things more clearly and to learn to express yourself with more assurance and conviction.
Did you ever have a dream that made you scream for real and like wake up out of the dream because it was so horrific? Well, there is a name for it. It's called night terrors. They are brought on by intense fear.
If you've ever dreamt of an empty wallet in your dreams, it represents financial worries. Alternatively, it refers to an emotional void or inner emptiness. Dreaming that someone gives you a wallet with money in it means that you're looking for acceptance. Yeah, I'll accept that wallet with money.
Scientists believe that eating late may bring on nightmares. I got a lot of nightmare stuff here. Because digestion creates an increased brain activity while you sleep. Not for us. Nothing increases our brain activity. Actually, it makes me dream. If I eat late at night, I just dream about eating more.
What if you dreamt that you were having a nightmare?
I guess you do dream that you're having a nightmare because a nightmare is a dream. You're very confusing.
Yeah, very much so. If you,
You have very confused dreams.
well, because I dreamt of a waffle. I'm waffling. To see water in your dream, it symbolizes your.
Nick, I have to tell you this. I have to tell you this. You're not dreaming. Your life is a nightmare.
Oh. Why, thank you. Wow, after 40 years of friendship, you do know me. To see water in your dream symbolizes your subconscious and your emotional state of mind. It's also symbolic of spirituality, knowledge, healing, and refreshment. To dream that water is boiling suggests you're expressing some emotional turmoil, and you need to let out some steam. And now you can go and have a cup of tea.
Wow, cool. Scientists have found that dogs may actually dream more than humans. So I thought about this and I said to myself, what do I think that dogs actually dream about? And I thought they probably dream about like driving a car and going, hey, this isn't that hard. This is easy. Or maybe they dream about, somebody's hairy leg. I don't know, but dogs dream more than humans.
Very good. Yeah, maybe they dream of a tailpipe.
They probably dream of the Dalai Lama.
Hello, Dolly. If you see wax in your dream, as opposed to in your ears, it indicates there's too much activity going on in your life. You need to slow down and take a breather.
Nick and Roy will continue with totally useless information. To access the full library of episodes, visit nickandroy.com. That's nickandroy.com.
You won't see the engineer that slams the Nissan Rogue's door 13,920 times. Or the corrosive chamber that simulates 15 years of life in 5 months. Or the Rogue heat-baked for over 300 combined hours. What you will see is a vehicle that can take punch after punch and keep rolling. Nissan, #1 in new vehicle quality among mainstream brands by J.D. Power. We put it through the worst, so you get its best. For J.D. Power 2025 U.S. Initial Quality Study Award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. Awards based on 2025 model year. Newer models may be shown.
Totally useless information with Nick and Roy continues. Listen, laugh, and learn.
Happened today is history. What happens tomorrow is history. Yeah.
To keep the apartment warm, Picasso was forced to do the unthinkable and burn a huge amount of his artwork. Picasso's family lived in a small, poor apartment, possibly with just one bed. The nocturnal artist got his creative juices flowing at night and slept during the day. Even though Picasso arrived in Paris at the time of the Belle Epoque, he experienced severe poverty, cold, and desperation. So he burned a lot of his artwork in order to keep his apartment warm.
Oh, wow, that's pretty sad. Could you imagine if he knew what they would be worth years later? Who is the wealthiest man in history?
Picasso.
No, that idiot couldn't even stay warm. Augustus Caesar, son of Julius Caesar, was the richest man in the world by far. In fact, they would value his worth right now today at $46 trillion. Now, I think the richest man in the world has 190 billion. 190 billion or something like that. Mm-hmm. This man would have $46 trillion. Okay, Jeff Bezos, your pocket change. Okay. I thought to myself, how do you get $46 trillion? It couldn't be revenue from selling his salad dressing.
Commutation. If you were drafted during the American Civil War, you could legally pay someone $300 to go in your place. The Enrollment Act, enacted March 3, 1863, was known as the Civil War Military Draft Act. It was legislation passed by the U.S. Congress during the American Civil War, of course, to provide fresh manpower for the Union Army. So commutation, which is paying $300 to escape the draft, and $300 being equivalent to approximately $50,000 in 2018 dollars, was created to keep substitution prices low. The rationalization behind commutation is that unwilling troops were ineffective because if they don't want to be there, then they're not going to be effective. So the government might as well extract funds from the unwilling if it got poor service. So commutation, imagine paying $300. You know what? Here's $300. You go for me, okay?
Nick is like Gandhi. He finds like the nice things. Well, it's kind of like, no, Nick, it's criminal.
Come on, people pay
really
more
is.
for someone to stand in line when the latest iPhone comes out. Come on.
True, exactly. Well, Alexander the Great created the largest empire that the world has ever seen. He died when he was 32. He fell ill for 12 days and seemingly passed away. After the 6th day, though, after they thought he was dead, his corpse had no sign of decay. They usually, I guess, would sit there and watch and say, okay, that person's getting all blue and gushy and blowing up, and so let's put them in the ground, you know? But Alexander the Great looked perfect, but they said, let's bury him anyway. Doctors nowadays say that he may have had a disease called Guillain-Barré syndrome, and that he was probably actually buried alive. He was just in a slight type of coma. That's why he wasn't decaying and getting all like, blue and all gushy. So they threw him in the ground. He was probably alive. And, this guy really, Alexander the Great, I don't know about that. Alexander the Sleepy.
He was. Yeah, he wasn't maggot food.
No.
The Eiffel Tower, which you know is in your favorite part of the world. Where is it? Where is the Eiffel Tower located? In
Liechtenstein!
No. In France, of course. But the
I had it my way of being Liechtenstein.
Well, almost, because the Eiffel Tower was originally intended for Barcelona, Spain.
Whoa.
But the project was rejected by the Spaniards. So believe it or not, the Eiffel Tower was originally supposed to be in Barcelona, but thinking that the thing would end up looking like an eyesore, they said no. Gustave Eiffel, no thank you. He was forced to repitch the project elsewhere. Luckily, Eiffel found a home for his idea in Old Paris.
Yeah, because they probably said, we don't need your stinking tower.
Ole.
When you think of pirates, Nick, who do you think of?
What's that actor's name? Hold on. Johnny Depp.
Oh, Jesus. You see what happens, folks?
I'm like the duck with half a brain. Come on.
See what happens when you get an education in the Bronx in New York?
Allegedly, yes.
Well, anyway, okay, you think of Johnny Depp, which is a little strange, but okay, I think of like Blackbeard and and things like that, the Jolly Roger flag, and a guy with maybe a parrot and a hook,
and a patch over his eye.
Exactly. But did you know the greatest pirate of all times was named Ching Shai? And she was a woman. If you take anything from this show, this is a good one. A little Chinese woman, in fact. She was a prostitute that was taken on board a pirate ship by the commander of the Red Flag Fleet. She proved to be the fiercest fighter of the fleet. And when her significant other, or whatever you want to call him, passed away, she became the leader and grew the fleet to over 300 ships and thousands of pirates underneath her. So Chin Shai wasn't so shy. She was Chin Shai or Chin Shi. Might have been Chin Shi. I don't know what the pronunciation is for S-H-I-H, but I think it's Shai. Chin Shai.
No, let's say it's shy because it sounds better when you say she wasn't shy. Right? Because then you'd say she wasn't she.
That's why I did it. I did it for the comic relief.
The Statue of Liberty. So the Statue of Liberty was originally meant to go to Egypt, not the United States. The Statue of Liberty was originally meant to look like an Arab peasant and to be at the entrance of the Suez Canal in Egypt. And her flame was to symbolize the light she was bringing to Asia. So even though it was Bertolli who created the Statue of Liberty, but believe it or not, it was Gustav Eiffel's framework that was part of the Statue of Liberty. So this Eiffel guy couldn't catch a break. He couldn't get rid of his Eiffel Tower. He wanted to give it to Spain. They said no. And his metalworks of the Statue of Liberty was supposed to go to Egypt. They said no. But it wound up in the United States.
Eiffel turned around and said, "Hey, Bartoli, look at what I got erected here."
It was the very first erector set.
Okay, Julius Caesar declared himself ruler for life, which angered the hell out of the Roman Senate, who said that was not legal. It was unconstitutional. I don't know if they said the word constitutional, but they said this is bad. So they devised a plot to assassinate him. Literally, Brutus, who was a senator, he was one of those guys that said, if you want to get something done, you do it yourself. Okay. So he went ahead and he got the job done by stabbing Caesar. But he was one of those sloppy assassins because he was a senator. But he stabbed Caesar 23 times. Just to make sure. You know, after about the fifth or sixth time, he said, maybe another.
Just one
I didn't get him in the leg. A couple in the arm. You know, I mean, 23 times. He had to stay there a while to do that. You know, he wasn't exactly like hiding this, I guess. He was like, hey, everybody, look at what I'm doing. 16, 17.
Higher. One more. Just one more. You're listening to Totally Useless Information with Nick and Roy, welcoming the listeners from all over the world, including the Netherlands, Bangladesh, India, and Germany.
And now for something completely useless.
Holding a remote key fob to your car, if you hold it next to your head, it increases its range because the water in your brain acts as an amplifier. If you touch the remote to your head while pressing the button, you can unlock your car from a further distance. For even better results, hold it under your chin and then open your mouth.
Really?
Yeah.
Could you imagine what happens if you stick it up your it starts itself.
It's a remote start.
Oh, I didn't know you had remote start.
Yes, on those cold winter mornings in Toronto.
You won't see the engineer that slams the Nissan Rogue's door 13,920 times. Or the corrosive chamber that simulates 15 years of life in 5 months. Or the Rogue heat-baked for over 300 combined hours. What you will see is a vehicle that can take punch after punch and keep rolling. Nissan, #1 in new vehicle quality among mainstream brands by J.D. Power. We put it through the worst, so you get its best. For J.D. Power 2025 U.S. Initial Quality Study Award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. Awards based on 2025 model year. Newer models may be shown.
We're back with totally useless information with Nick and Roy. Listen, laugh, and learn.
What's in the mailbag? What's in the mail?
Yeah, that was kind of scary. The old remote control up the
tailpipe.
Stick it in your tailpipe. Okay, mailbag. This letter is from Paul, and Paul is from Princeton, New Jersey, home of Princeton University. Cool. Hi, Paul.
Hi.
Paul says, I want to thank you guys for helping me and my wife, Patty, so it's Patty and Paul, through the coronavirus. Paul said that during the lockdowns, we found your podcast and we heard all 50 episodes that you guys, we heard all 50-something episodes. You guys are great. Keep it up. Wow, that is really nice. And thank you, Paul and Patty. We hope that we've helped other people, too, through the crazy times with a little laughter and really a little knowledge. I think it's very nice that during this pandemic, I feel like it was a crazy year, 2020, and that's nice to know that we might have given back something. So thank you, Paul, for bringing that up, and thank you, Patty, and we hope that other people did the same. www.nickandroy.com, in case you're sitting there lonely and want to hear something funny. Get on, baby.
So what part of New Jersey were they from?
Princeton,
So-
New Jersey.
So you're telling me that Peter and Patty from Princeton during the pandemic listened to the podcast?
Well, if his name was Peter, it actually happened to be Paul.
Wait, where's
That's okay.
Mary?
That
Peter-
was great alliteration, Nick. Thank you.
So Paul and Patty, you might want to pause the podcast during the pandemic in Princeton. It's preposterous.
What's in the mail?
Welcome to the Totally Useless Information Fashion Show.
All right, so a brand new, one of the newest topics actually, Javier, is fashion, and thanks to you, mainly the female audience who suggested, hey, you guys should do some fashion. During the 1860s, dresses were so wide. Do you remember how wide those dresses were, right, from the 1860s
Yes.
in the old movies? They were so wide that
Yeah, I
women...
remember.
Do you remember? Yeah, I remember the 1860s. The dresses in the 1860s were so wide that women were often stuck in the doorways.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
And the men were just pushing them through, so to speak.
Yes, they were.
I believe they literally had frames built underneath the dresses,
Yes.
probably by Eiffel. He erected them.
Yeah, he wrecked them all right.
All right, these fashion items are sold by the millions,
Yeah.
but first appeared in Deutschland, über alles in Liechtenstein. In 1586 in Germany, these fashion items that are now sold by the millions first appeared in 1586. You know what they were? Fashion magazines. The first fashion magazine, 1586, Germany. When I think of fashion, I don't think of Germany. I think of them damn French, to be very honest. You know? Although I do think of Heidi Klum, and she is from Deutschland.
Heidi Klum. I never, ever heard you mention her name before. Is that the first time I've heard that?
No.
Not at all.
No.
The world's longest wedding dress has a train that's 1.85 miles long. Okay? I'll repeat it. The world's longest wedding dress has...
folks, listen,
yeah.
listen. Just to prove to the people and our listeners, my third item, because Nick and I never discuss what we're going to discuss. It was 1.85 miles long, correct?
That's correct. So we have the same fact. Isn't that wild? Wow. So, yes, we never ever. What we do is when we prepare for this show, first of all, I know you're shocked that we prepare for the show, but when we prepare, we just talk about the topics that we're going to talk about. So, this week, of course, it was fashion. And what else did we do? We did history and everything. So we don't tell each other what the facts are going to be. So I guess he and I picked the same fact. Now, do you also have in your information, it required 3 miles of taffeta. Did you have that?
No, I did not have.
Okay. All right.
Nope.
It had, so imagine this long, 1.85 mile long wedding dress train. It required 3 miles of taffeta and 18 feet of lace to produce this one dress.
Yeah, what I said at the end of what I wrote was the marriage probably lasted 15 minutes.
Never 15 minutes. By the time they got to the end of the train, it was done.
Yeah. I say to the guy that had a wife that had a 1.85 mile long train on her dress, I say to him, good, get married. Why should you be happy? So Nick wrecked my number 3, so I'll go with my number 2. Lots of things we buy increase in price throughout the years, correct?
Yes.
But since 1992, the price of clothing has actually gone down 8%. 8.5% since 1992, says a spokesman from Communist China.
The spacesuit worn by Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin were actually created by lingerie seamstresses.
Whoa.
They worked at Playtex, the makers of bras. One small step for bras and one giant leap for lingerie is what he should have said.
Sure. Well, I guess the Playtex was good because it made them stretchable. You know, I mean, you needed some, especially in the crotch area there. You're climbing up and down ladders and so on and so forth. It's like a dance place. You need a lot of ballroom.
Classic. All right. Well, since I already took your number 3, or do you have another one?
Yes, I do have one more.
Okay.
You go to a gym. And like nowadays, a gym is not what a gym used to be. Now you go to a gym, it looks like a damn fashion show. You know what Lululemon is, Nick?
Yes.
Yes, well, it's like Lululemon fashion show, an Under Armour fashion show, maybe a Nike fashion show. Everybody's all dressed up with their fancy workout duds, you know? Mm-hmm. But did you know that the word gym comes from the Greek word gymos, which means naked, because in that time Greek men worked out naked, sick, right?
Yeah.
Could you imagine? Hey, George, can you spot me? And he's holding the weights over you. Come on. Or can you help me stretch there, Yorgi? I don't think so.
No.
You know?
No.
You go for the damn bar of the weights, and it's not.
No, it's not. Yeah, I'm talking about that's where dumbbells came from. So I don't know how many of you have done this, but have you ever looked closely at the zipper, at the little tab that you pull down? If you notice,
Nick, let me stop you.
Yeah.
If you're fixating on zippers, I really question the whole thing. But go ahead.
you're going to freak out over this one. If you look at the tab of the zipper, now we prefer that you look at your own zipper. You don't go to someone else's zipper and go, "Can I take a look?" Mm-hmm. If you look, there's the 3 letters YKK on the tab of the zippers.
By the way, YKK is a really good zipper, but go ahead.
Well, I'll tell you why. First of all, the YKK stands for Yoshida Kogyo Kabushiki Kaisha, okay? Which roughly translates, and it's really rough, but it translates to the Yoshida Company Limited. YKK is the most popular zipper maker in the world. So the next time you look at your zipper, you'll know YKK. That's what it stands for.
And honestly, I heard that years and years and years ago, that YKK. And what's the name of the company?
The name of the company is, you're testing my my Japanese, aren't you? Yoshida Kogyo Kabushiki Kasha. You're listening to totally useless information. Yeah. You're listening to totally useless information with Nick and Roy.
Nick and Roy will continue with totally useless information. To access the full library of episodes, visit nickandroy.com. That's nickandroy.com.
You won't see the engineer that slams the Nissan Rogue's door 13,920 times, or the corrosive chamber that simulates 15 years of life in 5 months, or the Rogue heat-baked for over 300 combined hours. What you will see is a vehicle that can take punch after punch and keep rolling. Nissan, #1 in new vehicle quality among mainstream brands by J.D. Power. We put it through the worst, so you get its best. For J.D. Power 2025 U.S. Initial Quality Study Award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. Awards based on 2025 model year. Newer models may be shown.
You're listening to Totally Useless Information with Nick and Roy. Listen, laugh, and learn.
Animals, crazy animals.
A panda at birth is smaller than a mouse and weighs only 4 ounces, or the equivalent of a quarter-pounder, no cheese or bun at McDonald's.
A panda weighs 4 ounces.
At birth, yes.
Okay.
Smaller than a mouse.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, so that you know, Nick and I do not rehearse the show. We don't rehearse. We don't know what we're going to say because we actually want our reaction to what we're going to say, because otherwise we're really not funny when we're reading it. And we're really not funny in general, but
Ah. Actually, I didn't know you were going to say that.
You brought up the panda, so I'm going to bring this up. If you kill a panda, you will receive the death penalty in China. Okay?
Oh.
That's right. You'll receive the death penalty. You could work a 10-year-old to death. That's no problem, but don't mess with those pandas.
So you ever hear the expression, if I were only a fly on the wall? So I heard that the other day, and they said, in that particular meeting, if I were a fly on the wall, I'm thinking, well, why would you want to be a fly on the wall unless you wanted to know if the fly can hear? So I looked it up, and I found out that flies have exceptional hearing. The thing that makes them very special is the fly's ear is so small, according to Neil Hall, an assistant professor. He's a smart guy, and he says we as humans, well, he's a professor of electrical and computer engineering. He's a smart dude.
He knows how to plug things in.
He knows how to hit Control, Alt, and Delete at the same time. So we as humans have significant separation between our ears, some more than others. So sound arrives in one ear and a split second later before it enters the other. Sorry, it enters one. Let me try that again in English.
It seems like it's entering one ear and going out the other with you.
That's right. But the fly's head is so tiny that its ears are separated by only a millimeter, which means it's the thickness of a fingernail.
Ooh.
So the sound arrives at the same time. The fly's hearing is exceptional. So the next time you want to be a fly on the wall, you'll hear everything.
It's like, how's your life living in stereo? A prison in Washington State pairs up prison inmates with cats that are set to be exterminated. So the cats that are on the list to be euthanized, they're part of the rehabilitation program that the prison in Washington has set forth. But I was thinking to myself, can you imagine the quote from one of the inmates? Like he'd say something like, I really like Lucky, said the death row inmate. Like these inmates are probably on death row and the cat got a pardon.
Where do expressions come from?
We want to know right now.
Those were the totally useless information singers. Hopefully, this show will go off without a hitch. Ooh, go off without a hitch. So examples of a hitch could include a delay, difficulty, or disruption. Another meaning of hitch, which is also related, is a snag. The word hitch has existed since the 1400s, and the expression without a hitch began rising in popularity in the mid-1800s. So if things went off without a hitch, went off without a snag, things went smoothly.
Oh, wow. That's the real McCoy.
Yes.
The real McCoy, meaning the real thing.
Right.
Most people think that it has to do with the Western Hatfields and McCoys, but it doesn't, which is why it's on the show. But no, it is believed that it is from a Canadian businessman. So here we go again, Canada. His name was Elijah McCoy, and he invented a better self-lubricating steam engine. Yes, I said self-lubricating.
I'm glad you finished that sentence.
And now he invented this self-lubricating steam engine, and his ad said, ask for the real McCoy. And because he had competitors and he didn't want you to buy the imposter, so he said, ask for the real McCoy. That's how it got started.
Well, there you go, Mr. McCoy. Thank you. A fellow Canadian, another invention.
And now, from around the corner and around the world, this is TUI News.
It seemed like the animal kingdom had it in for Pittsburgh Chris and Holly Persick. An hour after Chris's vehicle broke down last October, his wife called to report a burning smell that was coming from her own car's engine. When she popped the hood, she found it filled with walnuts. More than 200 walnuts. An enterprising neighborhood squirrel had been storing nuts for the winter. They had chewed through the wire in Chris's truck for a good measure. While Chris eventually repaired his wire, Holly got temporarily enjoying the scent of roasting nuts.
So basically, Chris's nuts were roasted by his car engine.
Yes.
And his wife was upset about that?
Yes.
Did she try to caress his nuts? Or maybe dig in and get them out of there? Or did she try to put his nuts out? Or
No, she ate them. In other news,
she ate his.
he just roasted nuts. In other news, they say you need to make a strong first impression during a job interview. A young man applying at a Subway restaurant in Redmond, Oregon, did just that when his mother literally crashed his interview last October. While her son was inside talking to the manager, the mother dozed off in the car and accidentally hit the gas pedal, sending the car through the establishment's window. The crash happened just feet from where the interview was taking place. Thankfully, there were no injuries.
No, it's their own fault, Nick, because Subways don't have drive-thrus.
This one, you know what? This one in Redmond, Oregon, now has a drive-through.
Who was the person that went for the interview? Was it No Nuts Chris?
No. It's funny that both of these incidents happened in October. But anyway, that's all the time that we have for this week's episode.
Listen, I can't take the news anymore. You got this guy's mom. What the hell was she doing in the car to begin with? Did she drive him there to the interview?
Did. I guess she did. She fell asleep. The thing is, she had the engine running and she had the car in gear. I don't understand how that could have happened.
Yeah.
Right? So she dozed off.
No, she fell asleep and she probably leaned forward and maybe hit the thing into drive and then it crashed right through the front. And the best was probably right after the incident. The kid says, "What, did I get the job?"
Yes, you're working the drive-through window. Okay, wow. Yeah, I guess the poor kid, his job's prospects are right through the window. Anyway, that's all the time that we have for this week's episode, thankfully. We will scour the internet far and wide for more useless information for you guys next week.
So in the meantime, instead of Chris, roast your nuts and tell a friend about the trend by sharing and subscribing and possibly driving your car through the front of a Subway, which we don't recommend, but some people apparently do. So in the meantime, go to www.nickandroy.com and you'll be so surprised and happy you did.
I'm Nick.
And I'm Roy.
Totally Useless Information with Nick and Roy is a production of nickandroy.com. Visit nickandroy.com to access the full library of episodes or wherever you get your podcasts.